Hello. In this lesson, we're going to learn the basics of drawing hair. Now, one thing to keep in mind about hair is that imagine when you're getting your hair cut, right? If you have decently long hair, the barber will pull all your hair down in front of your face. And so it makes like a tube around your head. So imagine a bullet just above the top of the head. This is the top of the veil here. And it comes out and around like this. It's like an invisible bullet. Just imagine this is an invisible bullet that comes down like this. And this represents, it goes like this. It goes around behind the character as well. Again, it's kind of like a glass dome that's in shape of a bullet that's going over the head. Now, this is kind of like what you can imagine when they're cutting your hair. This is what it's kind of going to look like. They brush all your hair in front of your face, so it's all the way around you. You can't see, like you're hiding behind this hair, this veil of hair. Now, if you have long hair like this and it's all even, when they cut it in different styles, they're going to brush it down like this first to see what they're working with, right? Now, this is the cowlick of your hair back here. This is where the back of your hair is. Now, right about in this section here, you have your bangs. Now, if you were to cut this veil right here, to be right about here, then you would have your bangs would fit in this section right here. Right, that's one section of hair to think about. Now, bangs can come in all different sizes. That you can cut it to where the bangs are a lot longer, like down here. But it's all that front part. And so if you were to style and comb that, you can have your bangs pulling back behind your ears and stuff, and maybe have one string right here like that, right? So how you style it's up to you, but the idea of the hair is very important. So you have that part here. The next part you have is the back part of the hair, which stems from the cowlick and grows back behind the hair. This we can style however we want. Let's say we're going to cut it right here about this short. That's the back part of the hair here. Then you have what I consider the middle section of the hair. And that's the section between the cowlick and where your front bangs are. And that whole side of the hair here can be whatever length you want it to as well. And oftentimes it's layered differently. And let's say that part here is kind of layered and it's about this long like this. Right, then you have your bangs, which layer into that, which are a little bit shorter, and you can style them however you want. And then you have the back hair here, which is longer. Right, so if you think about hair in this way, it makes it much easier to draw hair. Another way, well, let's look at it from a couple different views really quickly here, so you can see what I'm talking about. So you have this veil here. Now imagine you have the back view of the head right here. You have that same veil that comes around the head here like this and comes back, right? This is the cowlick part of the hair. This is the back of your head, the top and kind of the back of your head. This is where all the hair comes back. So all this right here is the back of your head. This is the back of your hair, right? Now from the side view, we have this same veil, and imagine it coming down in front of the face here and coming back behind the head. Remember, the head's a little bit wider from this view, from the side view, as it is from the front view. The same thing. So here, to visualize where everything's at, this is like more back here is where the cowlick is of your hair. This is where a lot of the back of your hair grows out. That's all like the back of your hair right there. It might even start from right about here, right? So that's all the back of your hair. So that's when we're in the front view, that's the part we're dealing with, that's the back. Then you have this front portion, which it starts right about here, and this is the bangs of your hair, and it comes all the way down like this. And you can cut these, really short, however short you want to cut it. But if you're thinking about cutting hair and you pull it and to start the base of the hair, you might cut it right here. That's, say, hey, that's how long we want the bangs to be. Or let's say you cut it right here, right above the eyebrow line, or right above the eyes, let's say, even covering the eyebrows. And that's where that's how short cut it. Now all this hair is now missing, right? So you take all that hair, it's now missing. Then you have this side plane of the hair right here, these locks right here. And these locks can be, the same length as the back of the hair, or sometimes they'll layer. And also sometimes they might layer it like this, where you have one layer here, and then another layer underneath it, another layer underneath it like that. So it's cut in 3 different layers so that this is thicker, this is thinner and thinner, something like that. And you have this like overlaying, and it kind of adds kind of a cool flavor of the hair like that. And that's just, style wise to think about. But let's say, for the sake of this, we're going to go ahead and make these hairs, almost to the chin length, and that's what they're going to be, and all this to be long in the back. If you take that and translate to the front view, then we're going to have right here, you'll have the bangs, They're going to come like this here. That middle section is going to come down, and it's going to be a little bit longer. Remember, we decided to come to about the chin. So we have these middle locks, and they're coming to about the chin right here. And we're going to stylize it like this. Then you have the back hair, which you decide to keep long, and so all that's going to be in the back, and it's going to overlap, and that'll all be back hair, like so. If you think about hair this way, it makes it much easier to draw different styles of hair, thinking about this veil and thinking about how you're cutting it. Then you stylize it, right? In this case, we're just stylizing it very basically with the bangs being in the front here. And I'm just going to draw just very basic comic book style. We'll do a couple different styles of hair. But for now, we're just going to have the bangs like this. And then we're going to see some of this hair here that's stylizing the front here, like this. This is coming down. And this right here is making that middle section of the hair. And then finally we have the back portion of the hair, which we can see some of the back there, and we can see it coming through like this. And then we'll cut it with a kind of layered look to it. And this side we can't really see it because it's being blocked by the shoulder, right? Now we have this cool stylized hair. Now let's go ahead and disappear the redness. And then we can also erase some of the head, the part of the head that's not being seen because the hair is covering it. So get rid of the ears and everything like that. Get rid of some of the face. And there we have it. Now you have this style of hair. And I did the same thing when I drew this hairstyle here. I'm going to go ahead now and also erase the red, like so. Right, so now we have two different hairstyles. I'm going to show how I drew this hairstyle and what I think about it. I think about the exact same principles when I'm drawing this hairstyle. We'll draw a similar hairstyle, not exactly the same, just to break up the monotony of drawing the same thing. But keep these principles in mind when you're drawing the veil. It really, really helps to understand how to draw the hair and how you're stylizing it. So first you think about how it's being cut as a veil, then you stylize it. In this case, we kind of gave it kind of a chopped style where it has that kind of layered ends. We could add a couple more layers in here as well if we wanted to, but I think these 3 layers in the hair makes for a pretty complex haircut. And you also got to think about the fact that you're going to be drawing this hairstyle. So whatever hairstyle you choose, keep in mind you're going to draw that hairstyle over and over and over again. And so if you make it really complicated, you're having to draw that all the time. You also have to visualize how does it look like from 3/4 view, from the side view, from the back view, and things like that. Right, so with this hairstyle here, what I did is I imagined that basically there's 2 main layers. You have the whole entire top layer. So I imagine, let's say this is from a side view here. This whole entire top layer I imagined being, about this long like this. Boom. And then there's another layer underneath that came down, and this is representing the back of the hair only because I have it cut in the front. But so the front's cut short like this, and it's cut all the way around, but I left a layer underneath that layer. So let's say all these hairs right here that are cut, I'll draw in different color, draw those in blue. These hairs are all originating from the top of the head, right? And it goes all around to the back. So there's even a layer in the back. They all originate from this top part of the hair here. The back originates more from right about here, right? Because it's overlaid. So I'm pulling hair from here, and this layer, this hair I'm leaving longer in the back, and that's what gives it that longer, and therefore it's going to be a little bit thinner than this as this overlaps it. That's the basic idea that I'm thinking about when I'm drawing this hairstyle. So you got to think about like what parts are being cut, where they're being cut from. Think about the front, the middle, and the back. And sometimes you can have, like I just did here, just 2 layers only. I just cut one bowl and then left the back short. So basically what I did is I thought about the shape of that bullet from the side view. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to cut all this right here to about here, and that's the basic shape I'm going for. But I want to layer it, so I'm going to have this go here, and this is a stem from up here, and bam, that's the basic idea. And actually, if you take watch lessons on YouTube, just the very basics of how to cut hair, and it's going to give you a better understanding of how hair works in this way. When you think about it in this style or in this fashion, it just makes it much easier to actually draw hair in different styles. Right, so knowing that now, we're going to draw hair on here. I like to use a different color. This time I'll use blue. Then when I'm drawing on, I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer here. And just in case I don't get lost, I'll just make the layer blue as well. So first thing I want to imagine is that I have the hairline here. And the hairline is important. So if you imagine hair is short, you have this slight hairline like this. This would be if you had really short hair. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and start combing it. So first off, I know the idea of the style of the hair. I just talked about that, where I have this top layer here, but now I'm going to comb the hair. So when I'm going to comb that hair, that top layer, I'm going to pull. Remember, it goes to about the chin. So I'm going to kind of start pulling up like this and comb it like this, and it's going to come down like so. That's about where it's going to stop. And so I'm going to just kind of show, some of the shape of the hair like that. I'm parting it in the side here, so it's going to kind of come up like this. And then that bullet's going to come down. Now I'm seeing some of that back hair and some of this top hair still because it's more layered. But it only comes to about here, right, in the back. So you might see some of the layer like that. But what we're seeing is we're not going to see we're seeing the underside of the hair. So we wouldn't see, even though this hair technically goes like this being the top layer. Remember I said before, I kept that top layer like this, and then there's a layer here that comes in the back. But what we're seeing is this layer only on the inside. So we're just seeing the inside of this bowl. Therefore, we're not seeing this layer here. If we saw it from the back view, then we would see it. So for example, if I drew the same character from the back side, you would see this layer of hair here, and then you would see the other layer underneath it like that. That's the kind of hairstyle I gave her. Right, so knowing that, now I'm just going to kind of pull this hair. We'll kind of comb it like this. We're going to kind of give her bangs here. This is all that top layer of hair. And then I have the under layer, right? This is all the under layer of hair here, and it's thinner, and it just kind of comes different ways. And again, we're not going to see this right here. The reason, again, why we don't see that is because we just have this front. Actually, that's not, I'm going to leave this. This is all being combed to the side, so that's why we're not seeing no more hair there. Bam, right? So that's all that top layer, and then we have the bottom layer underneath it, because we're seeing the inside of the bowl. And that's pretty much it. Then all you do is you got to ink it really fast. So to me, that's like the easiest part. That's why I like drawing a different color when I'm sketching, because it makes it really easy to ink. And so now we just go ahead and pull a couple lines here, come down. I like to keep it simple, because it is comic style, so like that. And another thing I could do is I could already start to erase some of the part of the head here and stuff that is not going to be visible in the hair. It just makes it easier when you're inking. You can also change this, and this is a Manga Studio, like that. If that's not visible, if changing the colors isn't visible here, then you have to like sometimes either stretch this out farther, or you have to go to Windows and then reset your thing. But anyway, if you're curious how to use Manga Studio, you think it's a cool program. I think it's an awesome program to draw with. If you want to learn how to draw with it, I have an entire course on how to use Manga Studio. So it goes through it's for beginners to advanced users. It goes through everything that you need to know that's important to using Manga Studio. Right, I'm gonna just I like to draw a couple double lines here and there. You can also have a couple hairs overlapping, like kind of more messy, kind of coming over like that. Just think about how the wind's blowing and how it's being styled and combed. Right, and then sometimes I'll add a little bit of darkness right in here just to show that overlapping before you even get into adding any color or anything like that. Make sure her eye is still in there. Right, so there you have it. Now we can go ahead and delete the blue layer, and we have the hairstyle. So I changed it just a little bit, made it a little bit more straight, but the idea is the same kind of haircut. I just kind of brushed it a little differently. And so here we have 3 very different hairstyles, all using that same principle. Let's go ahead and draw one more hairstyle using the same principle. And we'll go with something really different and kind of wild here. Keep in mind that drawing different hairstyles really will help differentiate your characters from each other. So let's go with something really wild here. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that veil here. I don't like to draw every single time, but I always imagine it's there, something that's there. Now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bangs here, and I'm going to cut them all nice and short like this here. And it's going to come all the way to the side. The side hair is going to be a little bit longer, not much, like this. So I have this shape here for the side hair. That is, they're a little bit longer. And I'm going to have the back be quite short, but just a little bit longer, like I'm going to cut it somewhere around here like that. And that's the back of the hair. Now that's not the way I'm going to stylize it though. That's kind of the way it's cut. It's kind of cut actually at a slight angle like this. All this is kind of cut at a slight angle. So that's the main thing I'm thinking about as I stylize this hairstyle. I'm going to take my eraser brush, erase most of this here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how am I going to kind of comb that. And I'm going to kind of change the color just a little bit. So now I got to think about how I'm going to comb it. So how I'm going to comb it is, I imagine I have the different loose parts of the bangs here. I want them to be kind of separated and loose, not too thick. And then as we come up here to the side plane and to that back plane, this is where I want it stylized. The reason why I have it cut at an angle like this is so that when it naturally falls and stylized, and if it's kind of like a curly hairstyle, it's going to kind of come up like this, and it's going to kind of have this overall shape. So first I imagine that overall shape it's going to have. So it's going to kind of be more flat on top here actually. I want it to have this more flat look like this, and it's going to kind of come out like that, and that's going to be the overall basic shape. So think about basic shapes before you start adding any detail. This is, again, all the bangs here, and the bangs kind of overlap, and then the side hair is kind of overlapping into the back of the hair here just a little bit. But a lot of this here that we're seeing is going to be the back of the hair. Right, so just kind of adding different layers, and they're kind of overlapping each other. It's just kind of more messy, kind of cool hair look. And this right here can really differentiate a character. I mean, really think about hairstyles. I mean, to get idea for hairstyles, don't just look at comics. Sometimes they're just like all the same kind of hairstyles, and you see them over and done. It's very rare you see like some cool kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of a cool hairstyle right here. Something hip, you can even do like, some type of like afro for an ethnic person, Think of something different to really bring your characters alive. Now we have a hairstyle here that's very different, should bring her alive quite well. And this would be like, I don't know, ways to get ideas for hairstyle is looking at fashion magazines, then I go, oh, how can I simplify that to an actual hairstyle? I want it just a little like this. Now, the back of the hair here is getting a little bit more curly, and and again, you want to simplify it, and you want to make sure this is easy to draw, so I'm going to make sure that I'm just going to kind of hint at the ends here. So I'm not really going to draw every little strand of hair. I'm actually going to just hint at the ends of the hair and have maybe a few strands that are overlapping. You can actually see them, but for the most part, boom, like this. And this is actually a really fast, easy haircut to draw, as you can see. Now we'll get into more detail in a little bit later for how to draw the hair from different angles, like when we're drawing the side views and things like that. We'll draw some of these hairstyles from, let's say, like from a side view or from a 3/4 view. So there it is. That's the basics of drawing hair. If you keep those ideas in mind, and definitely watch some just YouTube videos on the basics of cutting hair, and where they comb all the hair down the front of the face, start from long hair, and they chop it and they layer it in different ways. And then after you have that idea down, then it's just a matter of, okay, how am I going to comb it? How am I going to stylize it, right? And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this, and now stay tuned for the exercises. And the exercises are super important, so please be sure to do them. Thanks for watching. And really quickly before we end, I forgot to erase some of the skull there, and you can see some of the ears, just a little bit of the ear here, and that's it. And maybe you can even give her some cool looped earrings. And voila. And so that would add a really defined character. If you saw that character in a comic book, she'd be very defined, be very clear to tell who she is because of her hair. All right, again, thank you for watching.